games. Woo! Let's go. Hursty games, and this how we do. Now it's time we
Hey there guys, welcome back to Hursty Games, and welcome to a video where I'm going to run through some predictions for things I expect to maybe see throughout this week for the Serie A team of the season. Now, I'm going to go through a couple of, again, predicted player SBCs that we might get throughout this week, as obviously there's a lot of players that could be there. Now, we saw through the last couple of team of the seasons, especially through the Bundesliga and the La Liga, that there were plenty of SBCs brought out, and there's a handful that I think could potentially get in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through those and maybe give you a small idea of potentially being able to be ready for those cards. But again, please bear in mind, this is a prediction. These are completely predicted. They're not like guaranteed. I've found no leaks or anything. This is just players that I think could come out, and if they do, they could be pretty darn good looking cards. And obviously it gives you a chance to prepare for them if you so choose. So without further ado, let's get into it. It's about 6 or 7 cards. I'll run through why I think they might come out. Let's go for it. First up, we have Zlatan Ibrahimovic, the man who needs no introduction, absolute beast of a player. Obviously, I think he's had a fairly decent season. Obviously, Milan in 3rd place this season, so he couldn't have done too badly. But I don't think he'll get himself a regular team of the season card. If he gets one, I think it'll be a flashback. And this card is not too dissimilar from the FIFA 19 flashback he had. So please just bear in mind, obviously, he has had a flashback before, but it wasn't the last FIFA, so anything's possible. Who knows, it could be that he gets another one. But I think if he does get it, he's going to look like an incredible card. This guy really does look an absolute beast. Obviously, that pace increase, good shooting, good dribbling. He's going to be a boss. He's going to have, obviously, the skill moves. He'll probably have a good weak foot and everything as well. It's basically that perfect, like, oh, an engine makes this card incredible. So if he gets one, he'll be insane. And if he does, he'll probably need either like an AC Milan player submitted and or a Swedish player. So, and it's just someone to think about. I think Zlatan himself could be a decent player to pick up for SBCs anyway. But I was just thinking about it, and this could be a really good card to actually potentially prepare for, because if he gets one, he's going to be a beast. The next flashback card is none other than Radja and this is a card that a lot of people are very excited for. I think this is like one of the cards in history. His team of the season last year, I think, had like the most in-game stats ever or something, or something along those lines. He had a lot of in-game stats. Obviously, he was Hooligan, but this card is incredible if he was to get a card like this. He's on loan from Inter Milan, so his card would be a Cagliari card, which doesn't necessarily get the links to other Serie A players particularly easy, but Belgium isn't too bad. You've got the likes of De Bruyne. Obviously, you've got Lukaku as well, also being Belgium. If he was still at Inter Milan, that would have been a perfect link to that Lukaku. But regardless, this card, again, would be incredible. The card would just be perfect for a box-to-box, CDM, cam, whatever you want to play him. I think he'd do the job for you. And again, I would kind of expect to need potentially a Belgian player. I don't think you'd need a Cagliari player, because I think basically you're looking at people buying either Nainggolan or Godin, and Godin will probably absolutely shoot through the roof in regards to price. But I think Belgian players probably are a relatively safe bet anyway. And again, someone like Lukaku, who's out of packs, could potentially skyrocket in price anyway if he hasn't done already because of his use in SBCs. But Godin, again, could be somebody like clever to pick up regardless, just because he's 85 rated. But Nainggolan, if he gets one, will be an incredible looking card. And again, if he does, I think it will be a flashback, because he hasn't had, you know, the most incredible season. Cagliari in 16th haven't had a phenomenal season, but I would say a flashback for Nainggolan is possible. Now we're going to move on to people who could get moments or regular team of the season SBCs. I wasn't sure what to go for with Hakimi. So Ashraf Hakimi I've put as a moments card. I think most of these sort of interim players I've given the moments design, so apologies. But Hakimi is somebody who actually took to Twitter to say how upset he was that he didn't get included in the team of the season. And I think it would be a very EA move to use that sort of social media, I'm going to say stunt, but it's not really a stunt, but you know what I mean, to give the man an SBC. And again, it's an Inter Milan player, top of the table. I think he got 7 goals, and I'm not too sure how many assists in, so it was like 36 games he played this season. And again, I can see a card like this happening. It's kind of perfect for that sort of 3 at the back / 5 at the back right wing back sort of meta. He really does suit that card, kind of like Vazquez did when he came out. And I do think, again, this would be a very desirable card. Moroccan SBC, it could be like a cheap Moroccan SBC, something like an 83 needing a Moroccan player in there. And again, Hakimi would probably shoot up in price because of that. And again, it could be like an AC Milan, sorry, an Inter Milan, well, wrong team to mix up with there, an Inter Milan sort of SBC as well. But again, this could be a very interesting card. I think he looks pretty darn decent. And again, I think I was a tad surprised that Hakimi Hakimi didn't get into the team of the season because he did have a pretty good season anyway. But yeah, I think Hakimi is somebody relatively possible, maybe likely to see come out as an SBC within the next, like, 4 or 5 days. Another player that's had a relatively similar season and is a relatively similar style player in that wing-back sort of role is Gossens, or Gossens. I might be saying it wrong, apologies if I am. He himself has had a very good season, 11 goals, again a handful of assists in I think it was 30 or 31 games this season. And again, a very good player, and a player that if he was to get a card like this could be pretty darn incredible. Again, you're looking at Hurligan, and again you're looking at another player that can play left mid, left wing back, that kind of sort of 3/5 at the back system, and I think he really does look very, very good, and he's had a good season. And again, another player that I thought maybe missed out in being in that sort of 15-man squad. I think these are the kind of players like the last two that we've mentioned, the people getting like these honourable mentions or the SBCs, are people that if it was still like a 20-man squad probably would have got in, but because it's a limited squad they didn't make it in this time. But I have to say, I think Gossens himself again is a pretty darn good looking card, and I think again you're probably looking at either an Atalanta player required for an SBC or a German player, Serie A in general otherwise. But Atalanta have got a few slightly higher rated cards, so it could be that they try and go for that. You've got the likes of Zapata. Obviously that Muriel card would be a fantastic link to this card because that Muriel looks like an absolute beast. But again, I think this Gossens card, or Gossens however it is said, will be a very, very good looking and very desirable card. And I know it's slightly a side note to what we're doing with the video, but I think he's going to make a move to the Prem soon. I genuinely see a Prem team trying to snap this guy up. Someone like Leicester, I know they were linked to them before. I can see it happening. But yeah, Gossens I think would be a fantastic player and possibly an SBC. And last but not least for this little bracket of team of the season / sort of moments kind of cards is Imobile, Serie A Imobile. 31-year-old bagged himself 20 goals this season in 35 appearances, and again got assists along the way with that as well. And I've only given him a +3 on his team of the year nominee card, and the main reason for that is I would be surprised if he was massively higher rated than the current team of the season itself. A lot of the SBCs we've had coming out, the people like Waman, like Bellingham, those two cards alone, for example, were 91 rated. Tots Sbc came out as a 92 and Babu came out as a 90. I don't think they're going to put cards out in these SBCs that will be considerably higher rated than a big chunk of the actual existing packable team of the season. So that's why I've not given him a huge boost. Again, a kind of card that you're looking at an engine on. It'll be interesting to see if he gets a weak foot or skill move upgrade. I'm not 100% sure what they are off the top of my head. I think he's 4-star, 3-star either way round. I can't remember which way it is. I think he's got a 7-star split basically. But again, I think Imobile looks a really good card. I think he would be an interesting one to see. And again, 20 goals in a season and not getting a team of the season shows that maybe he should have been possibly included in that bracket, but he could be somebody that misses out as he's not overly desirable in the game. Someone like Hakimi, someone like Gossens, or some of the other players we potentially got coming up after this are maybe a bit more desirable for the game itself. So regardless, I think Imobile is in with a shout of it. Again, you're probably looking at an Italian. I'd be maybe slightly surprised if there's a Lazio specific SBC, but an Italian for sure. And I think it would be either a one-part SBC that's like an 86 sort of thing, 86 for the team of the season or a team of the week, or it maybe be like two small ones like an 83, 84 or an 84, 85. But regardless, I think Imobile would be an interesting card, but I don't think he's massively meta, so I don't know that he'd be that desirable, but I think the card itself looks decent. Now on to a couple of the under 23 possible cards that we could see, and I'm going to start off here with Kulusevski is how I'm going to say it. I probably said it wrong, but the young Swede bagging, I think it was like 4 or 5 goals this season. I think there was about 7 or 8 if you include cup games, but he played a big chunk of the season, and to get straight into the Juventus side is not necessarily the easiest thing to do. So I would expect to potentially see a card like this. Again, I think he's partly desirable. I know a lot of people like his Future Star. I personally wasn't a big fan of his Future Star card, but I think the fact that a lot of pros and a lot of players do actually use his Future Star could encourage EA to potentially bring him out. Has he had the best season? Not necessarily, but he's had a decent season, and out of all the players who are under 23 in the Serie A, I think he's had a relatively consistent season. Obviously appearing a lot, had a relatively good average match rating. I obviously had to look into a lot of this because the Serie A isn't a season I watch massively, but I do try and keep up with the leagues if I can. And by the looks of things, he played relatively consistently. He played over 30 times this season in one of the biggest teams in Italy, And again, it's a relatively desirable card, and he didn't have a terrible season. And I think he might be the first ginger player to get a team of the season, so that'd be pretty sick in its own right. I think he should get it just for that, just saying. But last and by no means least, we have Bastoni. I think it's Alessandro Bastoni from Inter Milan. Obviously, Inter Milan winning the league this season, and the 20-year-old, I think he's 20. He's a kid, all right. He's a young lad, and he has managed to be a big part of the defence in the league winning side, and I think that's very impressive. No goals. I think it was 1 assist this season. It might have been 2, but obviously as a centre back you're not massively looking for goals and assists, but what you are looking for is solid and decent performance, and Bastoni has done that time and time again this season. Again, I was actually slightly surprised to not see him in the actual team of the season, but I think on looking back at it, I think they've waited for him to potentially get an under-23. That is genuinely what I think they've done with this situation. They've given a first-team spot and a packable spot to someone over 23 to release this guy as an under-23. Is he a massively desirable card? Depends on your team. Is it going to be insane in game? Who knows? He's a centre-back. Most people play full-backs as centre-back, so it is one of those. It's one of those situations. But again, I don't see this guy being massively expensive. It would probably require an Italian SBC and then probably a Inter Milan SBC. But again, I'd expect this guy to be maybe an 83 and an 84 or an 85, 86 rated team, like one or the other of an 85 or 86 with the team of the season. And I wouldn't be surprised to see this card actually be relatively good value for the card that it is. I think the card itself looks decent. You probably would add something like a shadow to it or an anchor to it, get it 90 plus pace if he was to get it. But again, I think he's had a good season. I think he was one of the players who got a future star. I think he got like an 87, 88 or something like that. But he's had a good season, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised to see him, and hopefully EA will pay attention to the fact that just because he's a centre-back doesn't mean he doesn't deserve an SBC, because we don't get too many defensive SBCs in regards to the young players so far. I think all of the under-23 players SBCs have been attackers or midfielders, but I might be wrong on that one. But again, I think he looks decent, he's had a very good season, and I think he deserves it. But that is going to be where we round up today's video. Obviously, I have filmed this a day before I've uploaded it, so it could even be one of these players actually comes out before I release this video. So it'll be interesting to see if I got anything right, if the stats were relatively close or anything like that. But we'll wait and see. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more stuff like this on Sundays, then let me know, because it's something that I can spend a bit of time putting a bit of research into and uploading. So let me know if it's something you want to see. And if you enjoyed this video, then please do leave a like on it. It supports me, the video, the channel, everything out a whole bunch. If you're new to the channel, then please do consider subscribing, turning notifications on. We'll make sure you don't miss an upload or when we go live with a live stream. And we also stream on Twitch a couple of days a week as well, so make sure you check that out, Hursty Games YT. But for now, guys, I want to say a massive thank you for watching. I've been Tom. You guys have been awesome, and I'll see you soon. Look after yourselves, and of course, wash those hands, guys.
Nah, his name
in a
is
bit.
Hursty. Slap bald head, yeah, it'll probably hurt me. Bang top bins, it'll probably hurt you. Ginger, streamer, platform, YouTube. Drop a name in the chat, we'll say hello. Entertained, yeah, you already know. Capital H, yeah, I'm a read it slow. Hursty Games, yeah, you already know.